Welcome back to the Musician's Mindset. This is Module 2, the Foundation for Confidence. And in this section, I want to talk about getting yourself around other successful musicians. And surrounding yourself with successful musicians is a key component to building confidence and to allow you to make those changes that I talked about in the previous section. When you get around other musicians that are succeeding in their music at whatever level, you can see what's possible. It actually has an effect on you, and a positive effect on you. And so this is really key. And as a caution, I would just say don't take advice from non-professionals regarding music. The most common phrase you'll probably hear or already have heard is don't quit your day job, right? Well, let me tell you something. The real job of being a musician, that's no joke. It's no joke. It takes a level of dedication that most people aren't willing to go through. And so their real job is kind of just over broke. That's a good acronym for it. Or my favorite one is joy oppressing bullshit. That's being a little bit harsh, I realize, but at the end of the day, as a musician, as an artist, that's kind of how I feel and have felt about jobs I've had in the past. Now, just as a disclaimer on that, I take full responsibility for that. I chose to work at those places. That was my choice. Over time, I realized that it was just not what I needed to be doing, and music is really where I needed to be. So when they say that, don't quit your day job, just know that they're coming from a place of scarcity and fear. Their job is not having to make important decisions because that's not their job. That they just show up and do their job. They don't worry about anything else that's going on. Their job has little risk, and little risk yields little rewards. So it's risky doing this. It's risky doing anything, though. You could get laid off at your job at any time. So the way I view this is to put myself out there and to take the risk because, look, I've got one life to live, as do you. I would rather take the risks and experience the deep satisfaction and the fulfillment from having at least tried and really put myself into it all out. And at the end of the day, that matters more to me than to have an IRA, a retirement fund from a job that you worked at for 40 years or whatever the case may be. So, surround yourself with successful musicians. Let's get back to that because that's so key. And look, that's one of the reasons that I decided to move to Nashville. Nashville is known as the music capital, and for good reason. There are a ton of musicians in Nashville, and it's incredible the number of Facebook groups you can join for Nashville musicians to start, as an example. There are professionals across the board in every aspect of music in Nashville. Everything from publishing to management to labels, recording studios, producers, engineers, the cream of the crop are there. Not to mention all the musicians that are there, also the cream of the crop. Probably some of the best musicians in Western music on the planet live in Nashville. So being in that environment, it's kind of hard not to be positively impacted by that because you're seeing people doing really great things all the time, even on a smaller scale. And you'll see amazing musicians even in a small little shithole of a club. And I am very happy to have made the decision to do that. And so it's something to consider. Now listen, you may not be in a position to pick up and move across country or to a different state or city. I get it. What's the next best thing? Well, you can join groups online and actively participate in those groups. Again, and I've pointed this out earlier, you have to be a little bit careful about which group you join, because some of these groups that you'll see online, they have some negative Nancy's in the group, if you know what I mean. They're always talking negative, they're always talking shit about somebody or something, some aspect about this, and they whine and complain and bitch and moan and groan. That's not the kind of people you want to be around. You want to surround yourself with people that are actually doing it and they're succeeding at some level, whatever that happens to be and however that happens to look. Again, not to harp on this, but man, group coaching and being part of a group is really powerful, because you have an opportunity to see other artists that are pursuing their dreams, and you're seeing them with their successes, their challenges, and it's really a great environment to be in to help you further your own music career along, however that looks for you. So get involved with some musicians that are succeeding, and if that just means finding a band or another artist that is having success and just striking up a friendship and periodically getting together with that person to talk about music, having that one-on-one mastermind with someone else in your own community, that's powerful. That's really powerful. You know, on a non-musical example of this, all of these principles that I've been talking about in these last modules and these last sections, all of them I learned along with other people. And in my community where I lived, I met a guy who was learning this stuff as well. He's in real estate. Nothing to do with the music scene at all. But we got together almost once a week, and we did that for quite some time to integrate these principles. And this is a key thing. I didn't have like a music community that was learning this stuff and talked about these kind of principles. So I sought out someone who was familiar with them, wasn't in the industry, didn't matter, because these principles apply to any aspect of life, any. So just consider that. And I would encourage you to check out my free webinar. If you do that, as I mentioned before, you have an opportunity to get a one-on-one session with me. Maybe a group coaching situation with me would be good for you. Maybe that's not your cup of tea. Or maybe you want one-on-one coaching. That's all possible. Short of that, get the book. That's cheap. That's a very, very affordable, easy in, and read the book over and over and over again until you start to integrate these principles, and you'll start to see the changes. They'll happen. It just happens by default. And that's what I experienced when I started integrating these principles as well. And I started to be more judicious. I can't even say the word right now. I started to be more selective about who I hung out with. And I started to become more aware of other people's conversations, their own conversations in their head, and whether it was a positive or a negative thing. And by default, I kind of just distanced myself from certain individuals because of that. And I didn't really have to work at that. It just kind of happened naturally. I just found myself gravitating towards other people and other things, audios, books, things like that, and would want to spend more time doing that than going out and hanging out at a bar and drinking. And that just happened by default. And it's been really good.